ground, don't disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started, it's the hardest. Talk around, don't disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. Yeah,
get your boots ready. We're about to go on a trip where we wrestle, nobody settling or calling it quits. You're here for the grit, betcha this stuff is amazing. You're stumbling? Welcome to the bump in the apron. Step into it, the hardest part of the ring. Here to bring fun, yeah, in this art he is king. It's the best thing, making sure you don't tap out. Don't go soft with the hardest podcast out. And it's not just another one, it's clear. Off the rest, in this content, none contest. Take the nonsense off the steps. You know it's nothing but pure gems when it's coming off the chest. Get it? Now it's time to sit and relax. Get your mind blown away, ain't no skipping this track. Have you paying more attention, no listening gap. Get everything I ever wanted, no giving it back. Yeah.
Ooh, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Albert. How is everybody doing on this lovely, lovely bump day? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's got their tea and their crumpets and other British things. What are other I think those are like the hack go-to things. Hope everybody's got English breakfast in front of, what is it, the beans and the eggs? What is this bullshit that you people are doing over there? Let me make sure I have this right. Let me do my English breakfast. God. Hideous, bro. Beans. What the hell is this? Black pudding. The fuck is that? Mushrooms? Suck my ass, you goddamn Brits. Oh, you all suck. God, that made me sad just looking at that. Is that what you guys eat all the time? Fuck me, man. Well, anyways, who's excited for some British wrestling, huh? Progress, chapter 33. It's like I turned for like, I just turned my body a little bit and it hurt. What was I saying? Progress Wrestling, chapter 33. Coming to ya from the Camden Ballroom. Electric Boogaloo. I don't know. We're in London here, and we're in for some good wrestling here. Although, are we? But are we, though? Is the question that I pose to you and that I pose to my guest throughout the episode. I think the episode will speak for itself, but I think this chapter and the discussion that we have recapping it, I think it's a very interesting discussion on WWE's impact on the British wrestling scene. Yes, it's two Americans talking about it, but I think there's some good topics because we have a major cameo at the beginning of the show. And I think that kind of affects everything that happens on this show because I'm just going to lay this out on the front, on the right up front, right? Not my favorite chapter from Progress. Not a bad chapter, but there is some head scratching stuff here. But like I said, we get into it. I mean, to recap where we're at in Progress. By the way, if you want to get fully caught up on all the lore and all the hullabaloo, all the characters, all the evolutions of different characters and championships and rivalries and great matches, some of the best matches I've ever seen have occurred in these first 33 chapters in Progress. Go to apronbump.com, go to the episodes tab, select Progress Wrestling, and that'll bring you to all of the Progress Wrestling chapters that I've covered in chronological order, of course, starting from 1 all the way here to chapter 33. So like 2012, I believe they started, and we're here in the summer, approaching the fall of 2016. So we're ramping up to get into a really major era for British wrestling. So get caught up now so that you're on the train for when we get into some really, really good stuff. We got the Brixton show, which is chapter 36, which is occurring from the O2 Arena. So that's their major show. This is from where I sit, and me, I'm watching all these in real time, so I'm not really sure how things pan out. But they're building this Brixton show like their WrestleMania. And this show here, it's definitely where we're seeing a lot of the seeds getting planted for that show. And just in general, building to that major event. So, and like I was saying, to recap where we left off at chapter 32, Pastor William Ever cashed in his title shot on Marty Scurll to capture the Progress Championship. A wild moment, crazy moment. But on this chapter, we get the rematch, a proper match. Pastor defending his title against Marty, the villain here. So we have that in the main event. We got some Origin members having singles matches on this show. We got a Waste Man challenge. We got New Zealand people being sleazy. We got people putting condoms on their hands. We got Cruiserweight Classic competitors wrestling. We got Will Ospreay making his return to Progress to face off against Mark Haskins. Spoiler alert, 'twas a lovely grappling contest. Hey, we got the Viking Raiders are here. Eric and Ivar are in the ballroom here facing off against the London Riots for the tag team shields. Lots going on here, and I can't wait to get into it with my guest, Matt, from the Pro Wrestling Podcast with Matt and Friends. Matt returning to the show, always a good time with my boy Matthew. Check out his podcast on YouTube. He interviews wrestlers from all over the world. Tons of variety. I know he's got Rhett Titus coming up, who is a major landmark wrestler in Ring of Honor, among other people. He's interviewed so many people. He has a great show. He's a very entertaining guy, as you'll see on this episode coming up here. But go follow Matt, all of his social medias and all of his stuff in the description below. Give his YouTube channel a subscribe ski. Give him a like, a tickle on the nipple, all that stuff. Do the same for me at Apron Bump on all the social medias. And yeah, this is his first time watching Progress, so it's cool to get somebody else's eyes and get what their perspective is, because I like to have people that are experts on Progress, but I also like bringing people who are kind of, like I said, fresh eyes to give their perspective, to maybe spot things that I haven't spotted out, and we get into all this stuff. Why am I rambling still? Let's get into the episode. Progress Wrestling Chapter 33 with myself and Matt from a Pro Wrestling Podcast with Matt and Friends. Look at you. Got pineapple action going.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. It's a little fucking fruity, dude. I like it,
Why are, some of the pineapples are upside down. You know what that means, right?
No. What does that mean?
It means you love pineapples up your ass. No, it's,
Woohoo! How'd you know, dude? That's my Saturday thing.
That's apparently, I've never seen this in person, but apparently swingers will be at a grocery store and they'll put the pineapple upside down, and that means they're down to swing.
Oh. Shit, okay.
So I don't know if that's a message you're trying to get across to me or what.
I mean, I don't know if I'm a swinger because I'm not married. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have to be married to be a... So I guess you do, huh?
Yeah.
Depends what you classify a swinger as.
Well, are you classifying it as somebody that goes both ways or somebody that has a open relationship? Because I'm not the first one at all. You know what I'm saying? I'll wear pink, but that doesn't significant.
Don't knock it till you try it, Matthew.
Hey, I'll try not to, bro.
Nothing wrong with the pineapple up your ass. But speaking of which... I got no segue.
I like the segue into Progress. Here we go.
Speaking of, there's at least one match that's kind of on brand, but brother,
that's fair.
Chapter 33. What'd you make of it, man? I guess first question: have you ever watched Progress before?
No, I was very impressed.
Yeah.
So what got me into knowing a lot of these guys was when What Culture Pro Wrestling started their own organization years ago through YouTube. So I started knowing these guys, I started knowing people who are wrestling in New Japan right now. I got, guys who wrestle all over the world and, fucking, Progress or ICW and shit like that. Like it started opening this world up to English wrestling for me, so, and then they changed it to Defiant. So like most of these guys, I knew who they were.
Did you watch NXT UK when it was on?
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah, pretty much everybody on this show is either like, because this is like a peak era of British wrestling. So a lot of the people that are on this show went on to bigger and better things, and some didn't, but most of them did. So it's a good time to jump in cold, because I mean, most of these people are huge stars, or at least were before 2020.
Oh yeah, no, and we'll definitely talk about what the match of the night was for me when we get there. But man, the whole card, I mean, I was just very impressed. Very impressed. I didn't skip through any shit. Like I was like, dude, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I loved it. Loved it.
No, it was a great show. I mean, Progress, like I said, you don't get a lot of misses from Progress in this era. I will say though, like as somebody who's been watching all these shows, the matches felt a little slower than they typically do. And this is a question I kind of want to pose to you, because you interview wrestlers, you interview indie wrestlers from all over the world, pretty much. Yeah. And I want to know if you have any insight on this. So first of all, the show opens, they do the whole shtick in the beginning where Jim Smallman, introduces the show and whatever. Yep. And he brings out William Regal, who, context for people, this is 2016, so he's at NXT. They're revving and going there. So William Regal's here to kind of just watch the show and assumingly to scout people for whatever the hell, right? Because we're approaching NXT UK, so I'm sure he's doing some scouting or whatever.
Yep.
Do you think the presence of William Regal, or I guess in general, just any star from the WWE or whatever, do you think that can have an influence on the show in terms of like the style that people wrestle? And
100%.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, right? You watch all these other companies like AEW, like Impact, they have more of a, faster pace in the ring. When you got a guy like William Regal who's scouting for the WWE, what the WWE's pace is. It's not going to be fast paced. It's going to be slow. It's going to be, they're going to put on a fun match, but they're going to do it where, they do headlocks or little arm bridges. You know what I'm saying? Like
there's these moments of like rest holds, quote unquote. There's a lot more of that here than typically you would see at a Progress show. That's why I brought it up.
And I think that's where it was, is because Regal was there, and I think they knew that, and they knew, hey, we got to put these matches, because we got somebody here that's going to be scouting. And I think that's how it was. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together until you just said that now. But the reason I love the show so much is I think because it brought that slow style out. And I'm a bigger fan of the slow style on a more regular basis. You could bring a fast-paced match out, on the card 100%. But when every match is like that, it loses its focus, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
100%. And I think what a big thing has to be is you have to have those slower matches to build up to that fast-paced match, to build up to a fantastic main event. And we had some slower paced matches in this card, and they were fantastic. Like everything, like how it was built together, this entire show, perfect.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I definitely agree. The slower pace definitely has its place, especially in the context of a show, like overall. It was just interesting because I've watched ROH shows too where that would happen. Like there was one show in early 2003 where Dusty Rhodes was on the card, which was just crazy to say. But I remember watching. Yeah, 2003. It was like an 8-man, 10-man hardcore street fight. It was kind of a schmozzy deal. I forget. I could point you to the show if you want to watch it. It's
for sure.
It's a sight to see. But no, I noticed on that show, like all of the matches felt more like quote unquote WWE style. So I feel like that's just a running theme that will, because these guys are backstage talking to these guys individually, like you slow it down, mate. Will Ospreay, not so many flips, mate. You know what I'm saying, mate?
Yeah, because Will Ospreay didn't be like Will Ospreay in that match at all. Like,
dude, yeah.
He was slower for sure. But dude, oh man, and we're gonna get to that match because that match to me was match of the night.
Yes, I would agree. Probably.
I loved it. But when we get there, we'll definitely talk about it because man, I was on the edge of my seat that entire match because it was perfect.
It was great shit.
And we'll definitely get there, but yeah, this whole show, man, was just fantastic. From start to finish,
Yeah.
great chemistry between, whoever was fighting whoever, and just all the, hell of a good card. So many cool names in there that have been around the wrestling business for a while now. And, it was an awesome card. That's why when like you did that whole, all right, we'll choose out of the show here. I looked at the cards of those shows and I seen the progress lineup and I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Perfect choice because it was fantastic. And I think what really sold me on picking this card was Mark Andrews. I'm a big Mark Andrews fan. Yeah. Love the dude. I think he's fantastic. I think he's very underrated. But yeah, no, I'm excited to get into the show, man, because it was fantastic.
Yeah, Mark Andrews has got some momentum going, and we'll talk more like when we get to his match. But he just had one of probably the best progress match of all time at Chapter 30 against Chris Hero. Which, if you've not seen that match, I would definitely recommend you go watch that one. But before that, we got an old tag team match to open the show. We got the Dunn brothers taking on Mustache Mountain. So we got all of British Strong style.
Should we curl our mustaches while we talk? This?
I've like tried to grow that type of mustache before, and it's annoying. It gets in your mouth, and you gotta gel. I don't know if you've ever experimented with that. I mean, I know you're big into experimenting. So.
I'm chowing down on my mustache all the time, dude. Like it just curls into my mouth. It doesn't curl out. It's like, hey, dude, eat me.
Like, hey, dude, eat me. He says.
Quote that shit.
I'm gonna save that clip and I'm gonna use it whenever a moment seems fit. But the Dunn brothers, which is a team of guys who happen to have the last name Dunn. That's why they're a team. And then obviously you got Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, Mustache Mountain, big tag team in NXT UK and elsewhere. We'll talk about this finish, but because I did not see this coming at all. But
neither did I.
Match itself, because the Dunn brothers, they've been having tension. In the chapters leading up to this, just no team cohesion, miscommunications, but they're still teaming together because they have the same last name, I guess, is why. They're even like shoving each other on stage, like walking to the ring. Pete Dunne, by the way, has the worst fucking haircut at this point that I've ever seen in my life. Thoughts?
It was. I feel like at that point is when he finally realized like some changes need to be made. Because dude, it was I agree, it was terrible. Like,
how would you describe it? I don't even know, like, if I went to a barber and wanted this haircut, I don't know what I would tell him.
It's not a bowl cut. I don't know what
it's like a hanging bowl cut almost. It's like it's like Billy Gunn from 2003, whatever the hell that was. I don't know if you remember. It was like
pretty immediately, because I think
it's like a rounded mullet almost. It's like it's not good. It's not
like
good.
A bowl cut in the back.
Yes. There we go. I like it.
It's like it's not on the top of your head, but it's like, hey, let's go back a little bit.
Yeah, the bowl's falling off
down here. Yes, right. Yes.
100%. A yarmulke bowl cut. Is Pete Dunne Jewish? These are the questions we need to ask. Maybe I shouldn't be so.
I think we have to find out, and I think that's a tweet that we have to ask. Pete Dunne, are you Jewish?
Hey, Butch, Hanukkah or Christmas is what we need to ask him.
Hanukkah, mate. Hanukkah.
Right. But
I should probably keep my Australian or British accent away, because it's not
I was about to say, I don't know what that was. Not that mine's any better.
Yeah, no, a little bit better, But no, match was great. I mean, obviously you have Mustache Mountain, who, have had chemistry together for a very long time. You have Tyler Bate, who's been Trent Seven's protege pretty much beginning of his career.
Out the womb.
Very similar styles, very similar looks. Both have the fantastic mustaches, obviously. Pete Dunne, obviously we all know what he's capable of. But here's the thing. Damian Dunn, Deputy Dunn, whatever you want to call him, doesn't get the recognition he deserves as a pro wrestler.
So you know him as Deputy Dunn, huh?
I know him as both.
Okay. I like it.
Yep. But, he was actually the first one out of all four of them that I found out about. So Yes. So I heard about Mustache Mountain pretty much right when they started with NXT UK.
Right.
I didn't know who they really were until then because none of them were really with Defiant Wrestling or WCPW, when I started watching that. And I didn't really have, the luxury of finding where Progress was, or ICW wasn't on WWE's programming, so I couldn't really watch them, unfortunately, which really sucked. But Deputy Dunn, familiar with 100%, and seeing him and Pete Dunne working together, and I want to go back and watch a lot of their matches because they seem like what they had in the past was really fantastic.
Yeah.
But the chemistry in this match, I mean, just so incredible. You had a loser weight chant during this match too,
Which is very rude, I think.
And I think if I was a pro wrestler, you have the bruiserweight Pete Dunne, I would be the overweight Matt Kaz. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like it. I
think if I got in the ring, they would just be chanting overweight, and I think that'd be fantastic. I think that'd be a start of something new.
That should be maybe even like a championship. Like you have the cruiserweight championship, then the overweight championship.
Change the open weight to overweight, and we got a new goal.
Just put it on. Who is the Chinese guy from the Greatest Royal Rumble? Not Baba Tunde. Well, whatever. Here, I gotta look it up. It's gonna piss me off. It was the guy, right. Chinese. I think he's Chinese.
Is it Boa?
No, he's the big Yokozuna looking guy. Because I think
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name.
Oh, cocksucker. Maybe he's not Chinese. Hold on.
Japanese.
Yokozuna. If I type that in, we're cooking. We're cooking. Okay, here we go.
Yokozuna-esque type wrestler.
Hiroki Sumi. Make him the open weight champion in New Japan and just gradually over time just change it to the overweight champ. Is he Chinese? I think he's Chinese. He might not be Chinese. So. No, I think he's Japanese.
Dude, I don't know, dude.
He might be Samoan for all I know.
Is his eyes look like he was high the entire time.
Well, that's a bit insensitive, Matthew.
That's okay. I mean,
it's all about the angle,
Listen, have we been a part of the show twice already? I mean, I say stupid shit. It just happens.
Do I look Asian in the eyes? Tell me, be honest.
I don't know. I'm about to because I took an edible before the show, so my eyes are about to be squinty as fuck in about 5 seconds.
I have an edible on my desk right now that I'm scared to take because of my awful experience that I had not too long ago. But otherwise, I would have joined you. But
hey, you know what, dude? Hawaiian shirts and edibles. Just throw that shit in. You're good.
Oh, it's the shirt. It's because I wasn't wearing a Hawaiian shirt before is why I felt like I was falling off the earth. I see.
Because now if you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt, you're chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Hawaiian shirts in January is the move, I think.
Oh, yeah, dude. I went outside before we started. I had to run in my car and I was like, yeah, dude, people are probably watching me like, why the fuck is this dude wearing a Hawaiian shirt in the winter?
Look at this asshole.
In Indiana, too, right? Like, that's the worst combination of all time,
Yeah, can't trust those Indians. Yep.
Oh, yeah. But no. Canceled.
Don't take that out of context.
Yeah, no, man, this match was great. The chemistry built up, obviously, with Mustache Mountain, the strength of Tyler Bate throughout this match,
the stalling suplexes.
Dude, he's just insane. Tyler Bate is
passing the guy off to eat from 8 to 7. They did it 4 times. Damian Dunn's upside down for like a minute.
I don't know how Damian fucking reversed it and was able to do shit without falling down. Dude, because if my head's upside down for 2 seconds, I'm stumbling.
Right. Like, how often do you find your head upside down?
If I'm bored and I just want to sit differently.
So let me just take this for a ride, take it for a spin, see what happens.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of lay on the edge of the bed and throw my head backwards and just lay it backwards. And then I'm like, oh, no, never mind.
Oh, there's a reason why we're upright. Yeah. Sometimes you got to remember. I'm with you.
Blood rushes to your head, man. But apparently, I don't know if Damian Dunn has a lot of blood in his body because apparently not enough ran to his head. Because he reversed it easily. made a tag and then just stood on the apron like nothing just happened to him.
He's been here
Like,
before. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, the dude, and the fact that he didn't like lose any kind of balance and he just was straight up in the air the entire time, that was impressive. I'm not gonna lie, like
Very much.
You've seen it happen before where like they start wobbling and they have to reposition. He stood in the air like,
No wobble.
dude, holy shit. Like, is he gonna fall anytime soon? Nope, reversed. But no, it was great, dude. And then like the whole match was fantastic. And then the ending was just kind of like, holy fuck, what just happened? Like, I've never seen it happen like that. The first time we ever seen something similar was the whole when Cody Rhodes turned on Hardcore Holly.
Right.
You know, like,
Ric Flair has done this a few times in his career. Against Sting and against I just watched it against Shawn Michaels in 2003.
Yeah. But like this was just something completely different because both men just completely turned on each other. And like it was like, Trent turned on Tyler and I was like, what the fuck? And then you had Pete turn on fucking Damien and I was just like,
right.
This
and
shit
it's like
just happened.
You're like, it's almost like they were like a pump fake because you see the tension between the Duns and you're like, oh, well, this is about to explode. You're not even thinking about Mustache Mountain. I mean, they're coming out here. They got the camaraderie. They got the matching T-shirts.
Yeah, they even started the match with the whole handshake,
handshaking, every person in the front row together and then hugging and all that shit. And like, we're also this is a rematch, by the way, from 2 chapters ago, which was like arguably match of the night. So I'm sitting here. I'm on my seat, like waiting for just a long, drawn out match. And this match, it's a lot of, the Duns beating up on Tyler Bate. Finally makes the hot tag to Trent Seven. Trent gets in the ring, comes face to face with Pete Dunne.
And he does one of these first. He does the curl.
Yes. And Pete doesn't even have a mustache, which is just another element of confusion. What are they going to talk about in their free time, right?
Right.
Trent Seven turns around, uncorks a right hand onto Tyler Bate, turning on his Mustache Mountain brother, while also Pete Dunne does the same to Damian Dunne, which forms some sort of alliance between Pete Dunne and Trent Seven. And by the way, Trent, which is a funny little wrinkle, Trent and Pete were the legal men, so they just walk out. So it's a double count out. So it's a draw. And Tyler Bate and Damian Dunne are just in the ring like, what the fuck just happened? And like, like I said, I did not see this coming. I know they've done this in NXT UK kind of.
Yeah.
But my knowledge, I had no idea that there was any sort of rivalry between the two, Trent and Tyler on the indies. So I was surprised, but it was fun.
It was weird too with how they did it in NXT UK because they had the match and then Trent Seven got released like immediately after. Yeah. And like there was no finish to this, like,
it was the last match of NXT UK, so it was just a tough spot.
And then it was like he was fired already and they still showed his match anyway. They were like, yeah, he's gone, but we're gonna still capitalize. Fuck this. But it was crazy to see that. And then, you mentioned too, like what are Pete and Trent going to talk about since Pete doesn't have a mustache? Well, I think what they talk about backstage is like, hey, one day you're going to be called Butch and everybody's going to riot.
Damn, that's really great foresight that they were able to pinpoint that.
And he was like, what the fuck's a Butch? And he's like, you'll find out when you get there. Like, you'll find out when you get to SmackDown and Sheamus just changes your name.
That's
old Butchie.
Maybe that's why they're a team, is because Pete can go to Trent and have him tell his future for him. So it's good to have that guy by your side. No, I like it. I like these layers that we're unfolding here.
I think that's all you can do, dude, is like you can unfold layers. And I think that's where it is. Like he went backstage and he's like, hey, since you don't have a mustache, then you probably can never grow one properly.
Right.
We're changing your name to Butch.
That's actually a really great point.
In 2022.
That's well, speaking of unpeeling layers, I'd love to unpeel the layers off of Jack Gallagher and Zach Gibson. Speaking of which, that's our next match. We got these two gentlemen grappling in the squared circle. So I assume you're familiar with both these guys.
Oh yeah,
it's 100%. At this point, like just where we're at in the timeline here. So Jack, I think this is after the Cruiserweight Classic, which Jack was a part of.
It was right before.
Or maybe right before. They had the qualifying matches already. But yeah, it could have been right before. But basically, we're towards the tail end of Jack's run on this stage, I guess. But Zach Gibson, man, who doggy, does this boy have some heat? Zach Gibson. I mean, the promo or the attempted promo before this match. Thoughts on that?
Dude, Zach Gibson, I'm going to tell you this. I even wrote this shit down. Zach Gibson had Dominic Mysterio heat before Dominic Mysterio heat was cool.
Yes, my thoughts exactly.
All the chants that they had towards Gibson, like my favorite will always be if you hate Gibson, stand up.
Right.
Like, but they just were having it with Gibson. But man, so Gibson showed up to Defiant Wrestling. And that's when I, first found him out. And like, I was like, dude, this dude's a megastar. Like, there's no chance in hell that this dude's not going to succeed in pro wrestling. And unfortunately, what WWE did with him, obviously, is put him with Joe Gacy. And there's nothing wrong with Joe Gacy. I'm a big fan of Joe Gacy. But I think the fact of, I like James Drake too. Don't get me wrong. GYV, fantastic. But there was something more special about Zach Gibson. And I think it was just because he can pull nuclear heat and just still perform fantastically. Yeah. And this showed 100%. And then you have the comedy styles of Jack Gallagher. So it's like, you got somebody completely hated on top of somebody with comedy, you're going to get hated even more. Like,
it's just whatever the opposite of Clash of Styles is, like, that's what this is. Like, it's a yin and yang kind of deal. Yeah, no, it works 100%. Perfectly, I thought.
But they built great chemistry. And, before the whole Gallagher thing that we don't talk about, I loved everything he did because he was just so unique in that ring and the way he can reverse moves and the way he can just move in that ring. Like, dude, the little stop and go that he can do with the fucking upside down on the turnbuckle and with his feet. I was like, dude, this dude's fucking brilliant. And like, I wish he would have had the fucking umbrella because that's how I know Jack Gallagher is the umbrella, the Mary Poppins shit. Because
no, he's like the most cartoonishly, he's a caricature of a British person, but he takes those like old school like characteristics and then like combines a modern flair to it. It worked perfectly. I wish he wasn't a shithead, which is something that I always say about all these guys or like a lot of these people is like, I wish they weren't shitheads because they were so fucking great. And there's a lot of people on this card that applies to, but
right. No. And I thought the same thing. And I was like, dude, this is nuts because there's so much talent between all these wrestlers that had shit happen to them or that they did shit or got into shit or whatever, that it completely ruined their whole career,
Right.
And we've seen it throughout the entire card. And Jack was one of them, man. I loved watching him inside that ring because of how unique he was in style. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with Zach Gibson is because Zach Gibson is just so fucking good, dude. And I can't talk more highly of Zach Gibson with how great he is because I don't think a lot of people like they know of him because of GYV, but they don't know, like they don't pay attention of his solo career. And I think that's a mistake because his solo career, absolutely incredible. Just blew nuclear heat out of the water. Like
he could be a world champion in any company in the world easily. I mean, he's there's that type of, it's just like, I don't know what it is about him. Is it just his face? Is it his voice? Because I think
everything.
It's like that Regal thing, right? Where you just kind of look at his face. You're like,
yes, that's dude. And it's funny that
prick.
You mentioned that because I was going to say he gives off William Regal-esque vibes.
Yeah.
And obviously, I can't say he's the second generation because Charlie Dempsey's the second generation. But Zach Gibson is the closest thing to a William Regal,
right?
Than anybody.
Yeah, he's like a blend between William Regal and Nigel McGuinness. Not Nigel is what I always think of when I see Zach Gibson. It's like even like they have the same submission finisher too, which is like obviously is a big influence on him. But yeah, I mean Zach Gibson, can't say enough good things about him. But in the match itself, I mean, if you know anything about these two guys, I mean, both very chain wrestle heavy, very, classic British wrestling style. But But Jack
Well,
is.
we can't forget that Jack Gallagher was also shot out of a barrel to Niagara Falls.
I just paused there because I saw the note of how. Yeah, what was it? He was shot out of a barrel down the Niagara Falls, wrestled a bear, fingered a bear.
There was so much shit there, and I was just like, I had to put that in my notes just so I could say, Gallagher. I think that's why he fucked up so much in life, is because he was shot out of a barrel.
Oh. See, people don't ask these questions, like why did you do what you did? And maybe it's just things beyond his control.
Well, that's what you get for wrestling a bear and, getting shot out of a barrel in Niagara Falls, because nobody can survive that.
Right.
And Jack Gallagher did. So, people say, oh, well, wrestling can give you concussions and brain damage and all this shit. Well, so can getting shot out of a barrel. It can fuck your entire life up. And I think that's what happened. Jack,
we're here to spread that word. And I'm glad you're here to do that.
I think that's what it is, everybody else on the card that fucked up, there's no excuse. Jack Gallagher, he got shot out of a barrel and wrestled a bear. I mean,
justice for Jack Gallagher. Am I right or am I wrong, everybody?
Justice for Jack Gallagher. I just want the umbrella back.
That's really the source of.
Yeah, you can't have a Mary Poppins with in pro wrestling anymore. It's really upsetting, and that's who it was. It's Jack Gallagher.
Also, I forgot to mention this in terms of Gibson's promo, because he's doing the whole thing, right? The crowd's booing before he even grabs the mic, and then he's even like, I'm not going to do my promo. I'm not going to do it this time, but the crowd keeps booing him. And then he grabs the mic and they boo even louder.
Yep.
He can't get a word out. Like it's the Dom Mysterio thing, because he always does the same spiel in the beginning.
And I think the entire time, too, he kept trying to say, I am Liverpool's number one. And he could not get it out because the crowd just kept booing the shit out of him.
Soon to be Progress is number one. Liverpool's number one. Soon to be World's number one. All that stuff. And then he tells his opponent what he's going to do to him. He's going to rip his arm. I'm going to rip your arm behind your back, or whatever he says.
Yeah,
that was Australian.
The accent that you just did, that sounded like Zach Gibson.
I think it was spot. Is Zach Gibson in the room? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, he's right behind you, dude. So is James Drake. You didn't know that?
I was. They're in my closet, actually. They're
with all your other Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah. I actually ripped this off of them to do this.
Probably James Drake, because I feel like Zach Gibson would do some shit about it.
I think so. But there's a moment here where Gibson's trying to cut his promo, and the crowd's all like shh, like everybody like it's dead quiet. And then Gibson starts talking again. They just boo like as loud as they had.
He goes down on the ground and he's like, fuck.
It was so funny how the crowd just like maneuvered that to fuck him over. But Zach wants his mic turned up. It's so entertaining. But the match happens. There's some wrestling here as well.
Yep. There is some wrestling there too.
You got Gallagher with a Paradise Lock. Headbutts on the apron. Yeah.
The whole beginning was pretty much Jack Gallagher reversing every nook and cranny he can reverse. Dude was just man. I wish I could talk very highly of Jack Gallagher. I wish I could do that, but unfortunately, I don't think that's possible.
You could talk about his wrestling in a vacuum.
Yeah. So his wrestling was fantastic and just something special. And like I said, right in the beginning, off to that hot start, getting his head locked into the legs, fucking maneuvering out of it, doing all the stuff he would do. It was just a really fun back and forth type match, with lockups and wrist locks and all that stuff throughout the entire match. It was like a match full of holds, and it was fantastic. Yeah. I think that's where that slow pace really started from, because the beginning match, the first match, was a little bit quicker. Obviously, they had a little bit more of a, back and forth. But this one was just like, let's get him in the wrist lock. Let's get him in the headlock. Let's do this, that, and the other. But it was just, I think the chemistry between them was incredible. And I would have loved to see them do it again. Unfortunately, I don't think that's possible.
Unless Gibson wants to get into bare knuckle fighting underneath a bridge somewhere, which is, I think, what Gallagher's doing at this point. But
yes, because I think that's the only thing he can do.
I will say, though, I think there was more. I agree. Very, wrestling heavy, very counters and holds and all that. There was a lot more striking in this match than I really anticipated. Gibson, he throws out a gnarly lariat at some point. You got them striking on the apron. Jack's running drop kick in the corner that would go on to be his finish in WWE.
Which I thought it was his finish on the Indies too for a little bit, but I guess I was mistaken because
I think it is. I think sometimes it is, but in this case, it was not. No.
But he does have a nice running drop kick. I honestly think his corner drop kick is probably the best in pro wrestling. I like Daniel Bryan's, but I feel like it looks a little weak compared to what Jack Gallagher's was. I know I'm going to get shit on for that. But if you watch the difference, Bryan's looks like his legs aren't getting the full extension. Right. Jack Gallagher stretched out the legs. You know, I like how I did that. I don't know what the fuck that was, but Jack Gallagher stretched out the legs, man. And it kind of reminded me similar of Chris Sabin's hesitation drop kick.
That's what I was literally thinking of, like, who's my favorite running drop kick? And it's probably his.
Chris Sabin's?
Yeah.
100%. Dude, I don't think anybody can hit it better. But we're not on Chris Sabin, unfortunately. I could talk about Sabin for hours. But Jack Gallagher's, man, was up there. It was such a nice precision on that drop kick. He got height on it.
Graceful. Oh, yeah. It's like he floated.
It was, dude, beautiful. And what sucked is when, you know, back when he was in WWE with the cruiserweights and stuff, he changed his whole gimmick and came out with like the little vest and the little tie and shit like that. And then like he changed that finish.
Eventually got the goofy Conor McGregor tattoo on the chest. And it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, I feel like when you change the Mary Poppins, it just doesn't work anymore.
That's what you always say. You're always saying that to me. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? But now it makes sense.
Yeah, dude. I think, you know, spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
apparently Jack Gallagher was trying to get somebody to go down too, and that's what happened.
Well, you live, you learn. You know,
you live, you learn. And I think with doing your shows, I think eventually I'm going to get canceled. Hey, don't tag me, okay?
Hey, we're in for a good time, not a long time. Am I right or am I wrong? You know.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And he was trying to do the same thing. You know.
All right.
It didn't work. But you know, with
speaking
this
of blowing,
ending, what's that?
Sorry. Nothing. Continue.
No, just gonna say with this match, then we followed it up with another match of somebody who also had those allegations.
Well, no, first of all, I don't think there's one match that doesn't have at least one. I think unless the opening, I think we're clean.
No, I think Trent had
yeah, there's a little, but that's not all the same level, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're all different. But I think you are right. I think there was only 2 matches in this card that I don't think had any allegations whatsoever.
Well, we'll see as we truck along here, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Should bring up, though, the finish of this match. Gibson comes off for a second rope lung blower, but Gallagher catches him by the ankle and locks in an ankle lock with like a reverse grip, which looked kind of funky.
That was such a cool finish. The way he flipped it over, too.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, that dude, man, he could have been a star.
Looked brutal, man. Looked brutal. But yeah, Gallagher gets the win here, which I was kind of surprised. But when you think about where he's at with the Cruiserweight Classic, that momentum, clearly building this guy up, and Zach Gibson's a guy who's going to have heat no matter how many wins or losses he gets. So it makes sense. But yeah, good match.
Anywhere Gibson went, it was, if you hate Gibson, stand up.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Like, dude. When he showed up in NXT UK, I was so excited, and then everything just kind of went to shit. I mean, I'm so stoked for him in TNA. I think that's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Would hate to see him wasted, but speaking of waste, we got a Waste Man challenge on our hands next. Body guy Roy Johnson's out here, and if you're not familiar with a Waste Man challenge, basically Roy Johnson, he comes out and he challenges anybody. It's an open challenge, and they get the opportunity to pick whether they want to have a rap battle with him or if they want to wrestle him. And the who answers this challenge, none other than Jack Sexsmith. Thoughts on Jack Sexsmith, Matt?
I actually was a fan. I really like Jack Sexsmith, dude. He just was so fucking creative, dude. And just his character work was great. I'm very upset that he didn't get that, you know, rise to stardom like I was hoping, because when I first saw him, I thought, dude, this dude's going to be great. Just characterization work alone, I think he had something going for him. His ring work, too, incredible. I think he's very underrated as a performer, and I think
Sure.
this match kind of showed what kind of wrestler he was, you know, and what kind of creative mind he has. I mean, the rap that he spit out, incredible. I loved it, man. I thought it was great. You know, but no, man, I was excited to see a one-on-one match, but I was excited, you know, to see him in a tag match as well. But I mean, Jack Sexsmith, I think, was one of those guys. Roy Johnson this was the first time I've ever seen him. So I was very impressed with his size and stature. Kind of gives me a Wardlow type feel.
Okay.
You know, with just the look.
Singlet.
I think, you know, if more people knew who he was, and I think there's a lot of people that might know who he is. There's just too much.
He's still going at it.
To know everybody.
I mean, he has what's his show? Simply Colored. Oh fuck, I gotta get it right. Something Colored. Roy Johnson. I'm not gonna just Google.
It's
Roy
a
Johnson
TV
Colored.
show.
No, it's a wrestling show, but it's all people of color. Colored.
Okay.
Simply Patterned, I believe it's called. Hold on, let me.
Simply Patterned Wrestling.
No, it's Cocksucker. Simply.
Oh, that's what it's called. Cocksucker.
It's called Cocksucker. Everybody just sucks each other. Yeah, it's everything patterned. Everything
Back
patterned.
to the upside down pineapples.
It's apparently it's on the WWE network. Or at least some of them are. But yeah, no, he does good shit nowadays still, and yeah, at this point he's still pretty new. I think. Mainly a mic guy. I mean, he's a power lifter. He does the simple stuff in the ring. You know, I haven't really seen him go long form with matches, but super charismatic guy. Obviously, his rap. I mean, he starts it off with the rap, but I don't know about you. I didn't get any words that he said.
I didn't either. That's why I was like, when you said that he's like good character work and stuff like that, I was like, oh, this motherfucker couldn't say words on the mic at all. Like,
well, he's saying words. They're just,
we just couldn't understand.
Like, I don't know what dialect this is, but it's not one
for the
that
American ears.
Yes, no, apparently not.
I didn't understand a word, man. I was just sat there and I was like, wait, what the fuck did he say? And then Jack Sexsmith comes out and does his rap, and I was like, that sounds clear. Like,
well, Jack Sexsmith's music, it sounded like a Disney, like a Moana instrumental, and he's like not rapping. He's like it's like he's Aladdin or some shit. Like he's Jasmine singing. And
he's both because he's pansexual, so he's both at the same time.
Sure. I mean, he had a couple lines. I mean,
sure.
He calls Roy Johnson a delicious chocolate bear, which
did not go over well.
I mean, you know, you like what you like, I guess.
Yeah.
But Roy did not like that. He cuts him off. He's like, "Oh, whoa, bruv." Yeah, I don't think he said bruv, but you know what I mean. He's like, no, we're not going to do that. Try again. And Jack goes and starts to cut some bars on the South Pacific Power Trio, which is a 3-person faction of TK Cooper, Travis Banks, and Dahlia Black. So they've been feuding with Jack Sexsmith and Pollyanna, which was not on the show, but TK Cooper had been costing Pollyanna matches. Like there was one, like Pollyanna and Dahlia Black were having a match. TK comes in, punches Pollyanna in the face, knocks her out. Dahlia, like just a punch, and we'll see
TK
more of that
Cooper's
later.
Great.
Which is why, you know, Jack Sexsmith had a line where he's like, he looks like Bruno Mars, but acts like Chris Brown, which everybody popped for, which is, you know, a fact, I guess.
Yep.
Also suggesting that Travis Banks fucks Dahlia, which, you know, Dahlia and TK are together. So that would be, you know, apparently Dahlia has a yeast infection as well, is what we're learning here.
Pretty yeasty.
Apparently there also is no longer a gap between her pussy and asshole, according to Jack Sexsmith.
Just a big asshole.
No, it's a big hole. There's no asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She poops and pees and comes all the same hole.
Yeah, because I always come out my ass as well. So
I come out of my nose, dude. It's weird.
Is it when you sneeze? Is that what happens?
Yeah, it's like achoo, and then it squirts everywhere.
I think I read something somewhere where somebody like came every time they sneezed. I think that's me. No, that was you. That was you telling me
the entire time, dude. That's been me. See, when I just fake sneezed, I like pre-came, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see.
But when you really sneeze, it's like, achoo, you know?
Right. I'll keep an ear out for that, I suppose. But long story short, the South Pacific Power Trio, they come out. They're not happy. Roy Johnson and Jack Sexsmith are in the ring, so Teddy Long comes out. We got a tag match playa, and that's where we're at. So we got TK Cooper and Travis Banks versus Jack Sexsmith and Roy Johnson. I thought this was a pretty solid match. I mean, there was some weirdness in the end here, I guess, but I don't know. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. You know, so with TK Cooper and Travis Banks, I like them as a team. I watched them because there was a picture that I seen online with these two together. And I was like, okay, well, I knew who Travis Banks was because of What Culture and stuff like that as well. You know, another name, Jack Sexsmith, I think was there too for a minute too. So I knew of who he was as well. Roy Johnson, never heard of. But then I seen a picture of Travis Banks and TK Cooper. And I was like, I like the look that these two have together. Like just something just screamed like these two together could be incredible. So I started watching them as a team, and I love their work. I thought they were great together. What they did was fun. Unfortunately, I don't think it lasted super, super long. But this match was very well put together because it felt like there was storyline based to it. And it was telling multiple stories at once, it felt. And I felt like they did a great job with it. Like I said, the chemistry between, you know, TK and Travis, incredible. Travis Banks, another guy who obviously had his allegations, but I mean, end of the day, dude, Travis Banks was one of the best, I think, in England as a wrestler. I think he could have been something huge in the WWE if all that shit didn't come about.
He was on his way. I mean, he was getting pushed pretty hard.
Yeah. And I think Travis Banks was one of those guys that I think absolutely killed it. TK Cooper is one of those guys I think is, you know, absolutely incredible, doing his thing still on the independents. You know, I think he's one of those guys that I feel like more and more people need to start recognizing because he's got everything, man. He's got the look. He's got the skill. He can talk on the mic. Dude's just creative. I mean, the stuff he put out on YouTube a few years back, I haven't really kept up with it as of late, so I don't know if he still does his little stuff on YouTube. But, man, such a creative mind for pro wrestling. And I think TK is one of those guys that I think more and more people just need to say, TK Cooper is that guy because he is absolutely incredible. The work that they were doing together in this match, I think they mostly focused on Jack Sexsmith this entire match. You know, we've seen Roy Johnson get a little bit of offense in there, and that's where it kind of gave me that Wardlow-ish vibe. You know, corner to corner clotheslines or body presses or whatever he was doing. Like, dude was impressive in that match. But I think Jack Sexsmith and Travis Banks and TK Cooper stole that match from Roy Johnson because there wasn't much that you seen from him.
Right. You know, it was very WWE-esque in how, you know, it's the heels beating on the smaller babyface guy, and that's a lot of what this match is. But then Roy Johnson gets the hot tag at some point, and like, you know, the shoulder blocks and the clotheslines. It's very, very Ultimate Warrior-esque, his offense, but much better. But he's a power lifter. I mean, he's not out there to do Hurricane Ranas or whatever the hell. So, and he's there. I mean, the energy's there. You know, him and Sexsmith, they're kind of reluctant partners at the beginning, but they eventually start doing double team moves together. At some point, Roy Johnson does a gorilla press, like he throws Jack onto the two guys on the outside. So, some good stuff. Team cohesion there.
Interesting with this match too is because in the beginning of the match, you know, they're getting ready to do a tag match, but Roy Johnson gets off the apron, walks around the ring, you know, and the entrance way to the ramp wasn't that big, you know.
Right.
It's obviously smaller, and watching this, like, you have Cooper and Banks just automatically right in the beginning just beating up Sexsmith, and it took Roy Johnson like 2 minutes to get there. Like, he walked all the way back to a WWE entrance way.
He wanted no part of this, right? This is not his bag. He was like, bro, I'm not, you know, a part of this. I want no part of it. I was just here to rap. I put on my powerlifting singlet. I'm not here to wrestle.
Right. I put on my wrestling attire. I'm coming to the ring to talk.
I got my boots and knee pads on. What do you think? I'm just going to go in there and wrestle?
Nah, it's rap time, bitches.
That's what I put on when I rap. I know. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, dude. When I usually just wear a Speedo when I rap.
I know. I watch it.
Yeah, I live stream for you.
Just
Nobody else
me.
joins though. It's very upsetting. I tried, man. I tried. I'm like, hey, live stream with Speedo. Come join me. And they're like, nah.
You just see me
And
in the
then
comments giving you a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah, I see you with your little Hawaiian shirt, and I'm like, yeah, my guy gets it.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, no, I mean, this whole match, I mean, obviously Roy Johnson and Sexsmith had the crowd behind him the entire time. Both are big fan favorites at this time. You could tell easily. What really kind of confused me is like, I don't know how I would feel at a wrestling event if a wrestler was walking past everybody and put his hands on my legs. And that's how Jack Sexsmith entered this match, as he was going up to each fan, just putting his hands on each person's legs. And I would feel very like, why is this dude touching me?
My note here is that Jack Sexsmith comes out, sexually abuses all of the fans, and then makes out with Jim Smallman. Which, it's sometimes things make sense in hindsight. But and then the crowd chants, because remember, William Regal's in the crowd. Should also throw that out there. And the crowd's like, sign him up, Regals. Which, look, the match happens. Sexsmith, does he bring out? Yeah, he brings out Mr. Kako, which is a condom that he puts over his hand to put it in his opponent's mouth. Obviously a play on Mr. Sacco. But can't engage the Kako. Dahlia gets in there, hits him with a low blow. Travis Banks comes in, hits him with a spinning airplane spin slam of some sort, which looked pretty gnarly. But then TK gets the win over Sexsmith, which with just a straight punch to the face, which I guess is a play off of the punches to Pollyanna and all that stuff. So I guess it's his thing.
The shit out of him, dude.
It sounds stupid. It sounds like a stupid finish, but it looked pretty sick. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the sound,
that looked
the
like
execution.
that looked like a better punch than the fucking Big Show's. I'm gonna be totally honest,
I mean, man. He's a fifth of the size, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
I mean, just that punch, like you heard that pop, dude. Like, oh man, that hurt my jaw, and I was like, fuck.
And then TK gets the pin, and then Dahlia gets in, and they make out on top of Jack Sexsmith's dead carcass.
While Travis Banks looks along, and he's like, "That's my girl too."
He's some darkness. He's Sexsmith. Jack's still got his condom on his hand. Roy Johnson's in a glowing singlet. He was just rapping. What do you think William Regal thinks of all this?
I'm not going to put that on my TV product.
Boy, I think, because they got Travis Banks. I think Roy Johnson had a quick stint in NXT UK as well. But
did he really? Because I don't remember seeing
I think it might have just been one match, because I was Googling him earlier, and then a match with him and Pete Dunne popped up. I was like, oh, I do remember that. Okay. But I think it was just a quick enhancement match, I believe.
Yeah, because I don't remember that either. So usually with enhancement talent, unless I know who they really are, I don't really know who they are. You know,
it was very early on in NXT UK too. So
absolutely. Like I could tell you, like when the Naturals were jobbers for fucking WWE when they wrestled the Big Show, and I could tell you a whole bunch of people, like when Karrion Kross was a jobber there too for one match when he was teaming with Darren Young. Like Roy Johnson, I didn't know who he was before this, so it was like, I don't know. I guess he didn't make an impression on me then, So.
I guess not. He's a talented guy, though. Definitely a big shout out to Big Wavy Roy Johnson.
Needs to work on his mic skills a little more, because I just
because you don't understand the dialect.
You didn't either. So.
What is he? I think I looked this up last time. I forget where he's from. It's not Jamaica, I don't think. It's like, what dialect is this man?
I don't know. I felt like he was Jamaican, Samoan, and Hawaiian all at the same time.
Yeah, it's like it's a blend of something. I mean, Roy Johnson, call in if you know.
He's an N. There you go. Because you got Jamaican ending with an N. You got Hawaiian ending with an N. And yeah, like he's that Caribbean.
I'm not going to co-sign that.
Secretly, send me a message later and be like, I understood what you said.
Well, speaking of horns, we got El Ligero. We weren't talking about horns. El Ligero. Oh, no. Allegations.
Match number 3 with allegations. Great card, Kyle.
But Mark Andrews is here. We're safe with Mark Andrews. He would never steer us wrong.
Yes. Dude, oh man. So I like this match. I thought it was really going to be fun, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Mark Andrews, ever since I seen him in TNA when he was teaming up with
Mandrews,
Rockstar Spud. Yeah, Mandrews. Yeah. I hated that name.
It was awful.
I'm sorry, Mark. I did. But end of the day, I didn't hate him in the ring. I thought he was always incredibly talented since the day I seen him. The Mandrews name just didn't sing. Like, I feel like Mandrews to me was like Gunther to everybody else when it first started. I think if Mandrews continued, I would have been like, okay, I'm cool with this. But man, he gets that crowd hot. He does.
Oh, he's great.
It's his theme music. It's his in-ring style. Dude, Mark Andrews is everything that I wanted to be in a pro wrestler, with the pop punk, with just the style, the flash, the charisma, like everything he does. Mark Andrews is that guy. His
band fucks too. Junior. That's his theme song, by the way, if you weren't familiar.
Yes. And I've listened to them because I'm a big pop punk guy. So dude, right off the bat, when I found out he was in that band, I listened to it and I'm like, I always give wrestlers in music a chance. And I'm not a big fan of a lot of it, to be totally honest. Like, there's a couple friends of mine who are rappers as well as wrestlers, and I'm not a big rap guy, but I actually fuck with their shit. Right. You had Chris Jericho and Fozzy, which I'm not a fan of.
I don't mind Fozzy.
You said you like Fozzy?
I like Fozzy. I saw them live a couple months ago.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a fun ass show.
Live. I mean, it's a fun show, but I'm not gonna sit here and say Chris Jericho is a good singer, because he's not. But god damn it, does he get the crowd going?
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think it's the entertainment aspect, 100%. And like, it's just like, okay, like if he ever came back to WWE, I hope he doesn't, especially with all the Kylie Ray shit. I love Kylie, so I don't want to, whatever. I don't know what's true. I just hear shit online, and I'm not going to sit here and say fuck Jericho. But if he ever comes back to WWE, please don't use Judas as his theme song. Like,
you don't like Judas?
I just don't like the raspiness of his singing.
I don't mind Judas. I hate how they've forced it to be a crowd interaction thing.
Yeah. And I think it was fun at first, and now it's just like, I feel like now people are forced to do it.
When it was organic. And it was but I don't know.
And I feel like the only reason it was organic is because the 2020 crowd, when it was the pandemic and they had the wrestlers, Austin Gunn and everybody doing their shit. Like,
that was the worst. When you have other wrestlers singing your theme song, suck me off,
and I feel like that's where it really got started, where the fans started getting into it. But this isn't about any of them. Mark Andrews was one of the only wrestlers into music, or music into wrestlers, whatever, that I really sat here and I'm like, dude, I fuck with your shit 100%, because he's incredible, man. His instrumental skills are fucking incredible.
Like, dude, I started listening to his band like kind of ironically, because like you, it was like, oh, it's a wrestler in a band. How good could it be? But like I've turned them on to people. Like they're pretty good. I mean, they're like, I don't know, what would you say, like Blink 182, whatever that genre is.
100%, and they're really fucking good, dude. Really good. Dude, if I could afford the fee to get Mark Andrews on my show, like he reached back out to me, and unfortunately I can't afford that fee. But if I could, 100%, he is one of those guys that I would do it for, no problem.
He's a solid dude,
Mark is like I said, everything I've ever wanted into a wrestler. Like his stun dog millionaire move that he hit in this match, the reverse suplex into the stunner, like. It's so smooth, and I've seen other wrestlers do it too, but that is fucking fantastic. His shooting star is incredible as well. Like, just everything that this dude does in this ring, incredible. We did see a part where he got his fucking nuts smashed in this match, though.
It typically happens in a Ligero match, which, for some context, Ligero is a part of the Origin, which is a 4-person faction. It's Ligero, Dave Mastiff, Zach Gibson, Nathan Cruz. Great faction, great heel faction. They're just, I mean, they didn't have like a team faction in this show, but they just have an aura about them that's like, oh, fuck you. Like, I guess maybe it's Zach Gibson's presence or whatever. Ligero it's just a funny, like, shitty heel. Just his mask and the stupid, shitty little horns. Like, it all works great.
And the little bald spot in the middle of the fucking mask.
Yeah, it's something. But because we talked a lot about Mark Andrews, Ligero. So Ligero, so he makes Jim Smallman, the ring announcer, owner, whatever. He makes him announce that Ligero had wrestled more times in the past year than any other wrestler in the world, which can be true. I know that's kind of his thing. But my question is that a good thing? Because like, would that not just like spread you thin over time if you're just wrestling several times a day or whatever? And like, how much effort could you put into each individual match? Because I'm gonna be honest, this match really did nothing for me. I mean, it was fine, but I never really got engaged in this match for whatever reason. Like, even though Mark Andrews is great, whatever, Ligero is a good wrestler as well. This is probably the bottom match on the show for me. Like I said, it wasn't bad, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think more is not better in this case for Ligero? Maybe.
No, so I would have rather seen like a faster pace because I know both of their styles.
Yeah.
You know, and you talk about the group, the Origin, and I'm familiar with who they were too. There was another group Ligero was in What Culture called the Prestige that was ran by Joe Hendry.
Right.
You know, it was a great faction too, and it kind of gave the same presence. So you kind of get both senses of Ligero here because I'm familiar with it at this time. The only thing is like the mask just pisses me off.
Why is that?
It's just like you said, it's the stupid little horns, and then he's got like this little like circle cut out on the top of his head, and it's like little pieces like of whatever here. Like it's like, dude, either shave your head completely bald. Like I don't know what you're trying to do. Like I don't know what's worse, Pete Dunne's haircut in this show or Ligero's mask. Like the rest of his attire, cool as fuck. Like I like his tights. Like his tights are sick, but that little mask just doesn't do shit for me. I will say the cool part of the match for me was when, obviously Mark Andrews, anything he does, cool as fuck. But I think the part that stuck out for me here, and it was like one of the only parts, because I do agree that, sadly that wasn't my favorite match of the night. But yeah, I mean, shit, man, with the whole let me put your nuts into the fucking ring post and then do a double stomp after on the outside.
Oof, that was so fun.
And that has to be a hard bump to take. It really does, because if your feet get caught under the ropes, your head smacks that mat.
Well, that's how Bret Hart got his concussion from Goldberg, was the figure four deal.
Yeah.
Bashing his head on the concrete. Yeah, because they're on like a basketball floor here, I think.
Yeah.
So that could easily happen.
Yeah, and it's scary. And when you do something like that, and your feet, if you don't get those underneath really quick, you're smacking your head hard as fuck. There's no question. But the way they did it, the way Mark Andrews sold it, it was fantastic. I love that part. Sorry, Mark, if you listen to this, I don't mean to love that you got hurt. But no, that was just it for me, man. I mean, that match just really didn't do shit for me at all, which sucks. Yeah. But I mean, which is a cool thing, is because you go from the worst match of the night to probably the best match of the night.
Right. It was definitely a switch. That was because it was this match where like the thought popped into my head was like, are they catering to William Regal, who's in the crowd? So because
what really upset me back to end that match, because we didn't talk about the ending there. What really upset me is we've seen that Mark went for the shooting star press and ended up reversing into a schoolboy roll up, like
small package,
or just a roll up, like a small package. And it was just kind of like, I wanted to see a shooting star ending, not a small package ending. I mean, not when you have a cruiserweight match, you want to see that finish.
Right.
And it just didn't feel right for me,
It felt very abrupt, the finish, because you see that shooting star get countered and you're like, oh, we're about to go into a new stage of this match. But then they just got up and he rolled him up again and got the win. So it's like, why not win with the shooting star? It's kind of nitpicky, but yeah, I'm kind of with you.
Bummer.
Yeah, it was what it was. But like you said, we go from that, we transition into, I would say, the match of the night. And it is a number one contendership match for the Progress title. We got Mark Haskins versus Will Ospreay. Don't know if you've heard of him. He's so at this point, he's been traveling the
who's
world.
Will Ospreay, bruv?
He's one half of the Swords of Essex. I think that's about it. I think that's all he's done.
Oh, wasn't he Blair
team.
Davenport's former bitch? Oh,
shit. His bitch. How dare you? But speaking of Blair, who is very prominent in Japan, Will has just come back from a tour in Japan. He was in the Battle of the Super Juniors. So this is a point in his career where he's really starting to take off, really starting to wrestle more in Japan. So Will hasn't been there for a couple chapters, I don't believe. So he gets in there, huge ovation. He gets the streamers, which is kind of a new thing for Progress. So, and Mark Haskins is he's a homegrown boy. Like, he's the top babyface probably in the company. So you have two really loved guys here going off against each other, two of the best in the world at this point. And I mean, it was just at least what I expected. A great match, because they've had matches before. They had a match against each other not too long ago when Will was the world champion here, which is another awesome match. But they kind of play off of that. There's a lot of counters in this match. A lot of, because Mark has that, MMA style, and Will has all the crazy kicks as well. So they're doing a lot of like karate movie type reversals. Yep. And Mark Haskins has all of Will's aerial offense countered. He's getting out of the way of all of his moonsaults and springboards. But ultimately, a lot of this match is Will. The first 60, 70% of this match was a lot slower than I thought this would be. Because Mark Haskins has the shoulder tape. Or no, Will has the shoulder tape. But I think they both have injured shoulders. I don't know. But Will's kind of... Yeah. And Mark Haskins is coming off of a shoulder injury too. So, but Will is slowly breaking down Mark Haskins in this match. So definitely a more methodical style of this match than I thought it would be. But the ending stretch was just wild as shit. So I don't know. Yeah. Thoughts on this match overall?
Oh, so like I said, a match of the night. Probably one of my easily top 10 favorite matches of all time now.
Really?
And here's the thing. So... I don't know how long ago this was. I have to look this up because it's going to bother me. So I've known who Mark Haskins has been for a while. And there was one moment when I first knew who Mark Haskins was when he ended up going to TNA about 13 years ago. Sorry. And he was doing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they did this X Division gauntlet or chase or some shit like that. And Mark Haskins was there or whatever. Yeah. And it was back when Black G's was there and they had him named Rashad Cameron. And, it was a cool time. And that's where I think really what stuck out for me, him, was just the way he moved in that ring. His attire at the time, not so much. He would have purple trunks with this red big ass star on the side of him, and he would be named the Star Attraction. I wasn't a fan of the attire. I wasn't a fan of that look.
He used to be he was store brand Adam Cole, basically.
Yeah,
he used to be.
And the thing with that sucks because I in all honesty, I love Adam Cole. Mark Haskins better
in the ring. I would absolutely agree.
And yeah. So with Mark Haskins, watching his character growth, watching his attire growth, watching everything he's done, I expected nothing less. The like you said, counter after counter, but they wouldn't just counter it just because, right? It told another story. There was that one spot where he went to do the tuck in package super kick to the corner, and the way that Haskins reversed it into a holding armbar over the fucking ropes, I was shit. And this might just be me high right now because I'm blasted now. So with that being said, dude, this match just blew my fucking mind. I was the way the counters were, the way they're technical based, this was not typical Will Ospreay.
Mm-hmm.
He beautiful Santen Tope Atomico that he does. Beautiful. Oh, dude. But
so with Will Ospreay, I believe we are, because I'm kind of in the dark about what happens in Progress after this, but I know eventually he turns heel,
Yeah.
and obviously, you know, in Japan he turns heel and all that stuff. So I think we're transitioning into a different era for him as being kind of a cocky type of guy. Like he knows how good he is. We're not there yet, but there's little nuances here, like his slow, methodical style. Even commentaries making it like, oh, he's not really respecting Haskins, some of his offense, but eventually kind of, you know, turns another gear. But
Oh yeah.
so to that point, yeah, it's definitely very like I said, it was a different pace than I expected. And a lot of that is because of their previous match was way more of a sprint, I would say, probably. I forget what exact chapter it is. I want to say it was like 29, 28, but if go watch that match. If you love this match, I think their previous match was probably a little bit better, maybe.
Oh really?
Or at least close. So,
I'll have to
but
check
these
it
two
out.
have great chemistry. Any Mark Haskins match in this era is going to be amazing because I mean I say it every time I cover Progress. He's the guy that I've become like most a fan of because you know I came into Progress only knowing NXT UK, so I did not know Mark Haskins, but I mean there's a reason why he's so beloved at this point. He's so fun to
I'm gonna tell
watch.
you this. So a couple things here because I'm a big fan of attires too, right? So like looks
Yeah.
are everything to me is too, you know. And here's the thing, Mark Haskins, you know, just the way he carried himself. You know, a lot of people can't pull off the plain black trunks. He pulls it off well. Just the build he has, physique, like everything he's doing in that ring, just pulls it off. And I think he's incredible in there. And I think, like you said, at this time, I think Mark Haskins has to be one of the best in the UK at that time, but also very underlooked and under like appreciated or under recognized. Like he just wasn't getting the eyes on him that should have been on him.
I think he also had a lot of bad luck with injuries. I think that was probably the main thing. I know even at this point, I know he's had a few injuries and stuff, but I know later down the road, I think he has like neck injuries and stuff like that that really derails him. But I mean, he's still going at it. So hopefully he gets his chance to shine. But no, I would agree. Definitely a guy that more people should know of for sure.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So yeah. So with that being said, what really happened with that too. So the same thing with Will Ospreay, right? So Will Ospreay, I liked his work in the ring. I did. I'm not going to say he's one of my favorite wrestlers. You know, it's not to be an asshole or anything. Like I just know what I'm looking for in a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
And he's just too flashy for me, I guess. But with his, you know, this match right here, I think if he wrestled this style every single time, he'd probably be in my top 10 because he moved fantastically in this match, just being more of a technical base too. You know, you still seen some of his highlights, but I'm going to tell you right now, the way Will Ospreay is now, look wise, main eventer. Back then, mid card.
Right. Well, I was going to say, because like, I think his style here is kind of similar to his style now, which is because now, I mean, he's bulked up. He has less not no high flying, but less high flying.
Yeah.
More strikes, more submissions and things like that. So
yeah,
I would say this is a kind of a fun little foreshadowing into what he would be later down the road.
Will Ospreay too, like I've only seen like clips and stuff people post because unfortunately I don't get New Japan World, but I'm gonna start trying to watch it more and more this year. So I really didn't get a chance to watch his style. So I'm hoping with AEW here and him getting that shot, I can actually see. Like I've seen Kenny Omega, and you know I didn't get to watch his Japan stuff, but unfortunately I'm not a big fan of his American work. And one of my friends is a big Kenny Omega guy, and he's like, dude, if you're not a fan of this, that's not Kenny. Kenny's Japan. Like watch his shit. And it's the same thing with Ospreay. So I think if he comes, you know, to the States now, does his thing, I'm gonna be a bigger fan of his. But this match really sold me on what he is capable of doing. So if you're saying the same thing like you just said, is like his character growth, match today, or that match that we just watched is the same style as he is now, I'm probably be easily top 10.
Yeah, because Will Ospreay kind of gets grouped in with like the Young Bucks and that like online like, oh, they don't sell, all they do is flips. And like Will Ospreay definitely was that at maybe 10, 15 years ago. But nowadays, I mean, Will's got it together, man. I mean, Will's
You will be, if you're not sold on Will Ospreay come February or whenever he comes to AEW full time, you're gonna be sold on him. He's incredible.
Oh yeah, and but here's the thing. What really got me here is it shows with UK based fans, they know who Mark Haskins really is. You know, he got bigger chance than Ospreay did during this match the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, and there was that one part of respect too, where you know, the fans were chanting after the match, you know, Regal sign him up, whatever. You know, Ospreay automatically right off the bat was like, no, don't worry about me. Sign him. Like, Mark Haskins should have been that guy that really broke out. And I think the pandemic really lowered his momentum.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think he would have been one of those top guys right now if he would have continued, if that pandemic never happened.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, no, I agree. As far as him getting a reaction over Ospreay, and I'll tell you this: the previous chapter, he wrestled Johnny Gargano, which is another incredible match, by the way. But that was Johnny Gargano, like he's in NXT. DIY is a thing. He's a big babyface in WWE. Mark Haskins still got a better reaction. Like Johnny had to turn heel within the match just because people love Mark Haskins so much. It's something special when you see a guy get over purely off of wrestling, because he doesn't cut a lot of promos. He doesn't like have this like in-depth backstory or anything. He's just a guy that's really fun to watch wrestle. And I think that's like,
and
what
I think
Progress
that's
is striving
maybe where
to be.
he didn't get signed too. And I don't mean to cut you off, but that's probably where I feel like he didn't get signed, because of that factor of not cutting promos.
Right.
And that's
he can cut promos though when he needs to. I mean, he cut one at the end of this match. It felt good.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Mark Haskins, I think, is that guy that needs to say the word fuck though. I mean, he just says, dude, he just gives me that vibe where he's like, I need to say fuck. You know, I need to. It's just gonna happen. All right.
He's like Jay White. Like Jay White in AEW doesn't feel like it hits like New Japan, because New Japan, his whole thing was, I'm a guy that says fuck a lot, and now he can't, and it kind of feels, I don't know.
Yep. And I feel like that's where he, you know, but man, Mark Haskins is incredible, dude. He really is. And I think this match, I mean, really showed. I mean, a lot of people I don't think can make that arm breaker look good.
Yeah, the bridging arm bar that Ciampa used to use.
He does it so good, man.
Dude, he has a great arm bar. He has the best stretch muffler I've ever seen, which I don't know if did he put that on in this match?
He did, yes.
He did, because he does it with like the Boston Crab stance as well. And he has a great sharpshooter where he rolls into it from a standing position.
He used to have a really good shooting star press. I don't know if he really does that much anymore, but his shooting star used to be really good. I know he hits a tombstone pile driver.
Yeah, I mean, he does. I mean, the way he does like the fake out suicide dive where he does like a reverse 619, comes back in the ring and then does it and through the other side.
Yep.
He's just bouncing off the ropes to do drop kicks, all the martial arts kicks and submissions, and it's just so fun to watch. And he gets the win here by countering the Os Cutter right into that bridging arm bar for the tap out. So he makes Will Ospreay tap out, which is a huge win, and also becomes the number one contender for the Progress World Championship, which he says that he will cash in at Brexton, I believe it's called, which is their O2 show. I believe it's the O2. But it's their big show that they're building up to in a few months here. So he's gonna, I guess, be in the main event, challenging for the world title. And because previously he had won world title shots in the past and then was like really hasty and just, I'm gonna do it at the next show, and then he always loses. So now he's gonna take his time. He's going to prepare for it. So we got the main event set for, I believe it's chapter 36. So, good match, good ending, and just a really fiery promo from him afterwards. And Will gives him his props. What more can you ask for, really?
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. Like, everything about that match was incredible. But like I said, I mean, Mark Haskins, I definitely think like, at that moment would have been signed, but I feel like NXT UK really didn't break out yet. We didn't really see the start of that yet, and I think the pandemic really set it off because
he's had just terrible luck with injuries and timing and the pandemic.
Because think about the shit that Mark Haskins could have done in NXT. Think about the shit he could have done on the main roster. I mean, he could be going at it with so many cool people like Bronson Reed or, Ivar, or any of these guys. Like he could just make any impressive match be more impressive.
That's a funny, like your first two guys that you think of are Bronson Reed and Ivar, which I mean, I agree. But speaking of Ivar, got him. Maybe that's why Ivar.
Bronson Reed was there. Like I knew where I was going with that one, and then I was like, Ivar, perfect segue.
Hey, I'm a big fan of Thick Boy as well, but that's funny because we were talking about those last two guys and how they've positively evolved over time. And here's some two guys who I think have gone in the opposite direction. I don't know, maybe we can talk about it. But we got War Machine, the team of Hanson and Rowe, which people may know them now as the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar. They are challenging for the Progress tag team titles against the champions, the London Riots. So, let's just talk about War Machine for a second. What are your thoughts on their current presentation in WWE?
Current? I
mean, I outside of the injury to Raymond Ivar or Eric, whatever the fuck you want to call him, the bald one. Outside of that, their current presentation as a tag team, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of what their current presentation actually is. So,
like the Vikings, like very cartoon Viking presentation.
Yeah, and that's okay because I mean, even though it's cartoonish, they're still looking like monsters. I mean, now currently, what they were doing before the injury, yeah, I think they were on a push to be something big. Unfortunately, injury happens. Ivar kind of got a push. People started recognizing Ivar more now too. You see it on social media. So I feel like their presentation when Eric gets back, I feel is going to be great.
I hope so, man. So
you have so much potential there because what they did in the indies beforehand, incredible. I wasn't familiar with the London Riots until I watched this. But man,
you don't need to be, I guess, after nowadays, you don't need to be.
Yeah. So, well, that's fair. So what I was thinking during this match is I think Ivar and Eric got their like little Viking shield inspiration from the London Riots little yin and yang kind of shield.
Well,
like
did it translate to you that those are the tag team titles?
Oh, is it?
Those are the championships. Like if you win, if War Machine were to win this match, they would then have the shield.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it catches everybody off guard when I have them on for the first time.
That's their titles?
Yes, the world title used to be a big staff with an eagle on it. But thankfully they got a belt. I know eventually they get belts for the tag team titles, but goddamn pal, they do not. Dude. No, it's not. It's not cool.
I didn't fucking know that. I thought they were just being stupid because they were rioting with shields. I thought that was a part of their shtick.
It's just happenstance that I guess it plays into their gimmick, but no, those are the prestigious tag team title belts or
that is hilarious.
Trophies, dude. I guess. I don't know.
Can you tell that I'm high right now?
No, I mean that makes sense that you wouldn't understand that. So I'm with you.
I mean, shit, like that is funny as hell though, because
that's what we're fighting for. That's what they're fighting for.
I didn't know. I thought it was just two fucking teams fighting each other. Like,
brother, I can't. If I had a nickel for every time like a team would win these things and then try to like put them together, like Dragon Ball Z, like, oh, we're gonna put them together, and then it's like backwards or it's not right, and I have to like figure it out.
That's so funny because I'm sitting here thinking like, yo, these motherfuckers also have those little necklaces that they're like best friends, like that's what these were. They're shields, but they're fucking,
like, that's the prize. That's the prize that we're fighting for.
That's impressive.
The match itself, though, I enjoy this match. You have four beefy boys slapping meat. Never gonna hear me complain about that. Again, more kind of a similar formula as previous tag matches on this show, where it's War Machine. They beat up on James Davis for a bit. Rob Lynch makes the hot tag, and then everything breaks down. You see a lot of like the staples in War Machine here. You got like Hanson doing suicide dives. You got the Hanson senton in the corner. Raymond Rose flipping knee that he does. You got James Davis jumping off like the lower balcony onto everybody. So there's some fun moments. It's kind of chaos towards the end, but again, a weird finish. James Davis ends up winning with a roll up out of nowhere on Row, I think it was.
Yeah.
But
the tights too.
Yeah, so I guess maybe that's some character evolution we might see down the road. But yeah, London Riots get the win through scrupulous means. But it was a fun little meat slapper kind of thing here.
What really gets me here, though, right? So I'm watching this match, and after the finish, when he pulls the tights and everything, they're all four standing in the ring, and for whatever reason, Hanson and Rowe both put their hands out to shake their hand. Like, why are you shaking their hand? They just cheated to win.
Yeah, I also question that, which makes me believe that maybe the tights thing didn't matter. Like, it's not going to factor into the future, but I don't know.
Rowe's like, you guys can take this. We're going to WWE.
Yeah, maybe it's them trying to save face, but I don't know. Who cares?
Because how long have Hanson and Rowe been in WWE now? They've been in with WWE for quite some time.
Well, what's interesting here is that this is like only a year they've been teaming together, which for whatever reason, I assume they have been teaming together for forever. Apparently, I didn't know this. Maybe you did. Apparently, Hanson and Rowe, Eric and Ivar, apparently they came together because they were both in a breakout tournament in Ring of Honor, which I think was called Top Prospects or something like that.
Yeah. I do remember that.
And they met in the finals, and apparently they just had a healthy respect. And then
Rowe won, I think, right?
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's going to bother me too.
I know Hanson would go on to have a singles push because Rowe got in a motorcycle accident, but I don't know who won the tournament or whatever. But apparently that's how they came together, was facing each other and then becoming a team, which is crazy to think that they started out as individual guys, which everybody does, of course. But a fun little nugget there.
I think when he was going through the tournament for ROH, his name was Warbeard Hanson.
And
then they just switched it to Hanson.
Warbeard?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because Hanson does in this match. He takes his beard and chokes out one of the Riots with it, which is a fun little. I don't know if he does that now, but he should bring that back if he doesn't.
Yeah, so I'm looking here, and then they started teaming in 2014. I did not know that's when they started teaming, but they've been with WWE since 2018. But man, it's so crazy because like to know now like how old like Hanson is, and to see how fucking he moves in that ring, like it's nuts. I
mean this match they felt similar, like the similar physicality that they have now, so they've maintained that, which is impressive.
I mean, it's crazy to think like, so I just looked both of them really quick. They're both 39 years old, and I did not know they were both almost 40. But then again, so is a lot of other wrestlers, and this is like the time right now that wrestlers from 40 to 50 are killing it.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the top guys in the industry, most of them are like 35 to 45, I would think.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, at 50, I'm gonna be fucking broken. Like, you're fucking wrestling. Like,
yeah, it's my hips are sore every morning for no reason, and these guys are killing themselves every day
just for our pure entertainment. Like,
it's incredible, man. It really is. But any other thoughts on that match before we get to the main event?
I mean, it was just fun, man. I mean, it was a hard hitting match. Like I said, it was a good tag team match. I think the first tag team match was better.
Okay.
Trent, Mustache Mountain versus the Duns. I felt like that was a little bit better.
That's fair.
Close. They were close, but I just think something with how Tyler Bate moves was just better. I don't know.
God damn it. When are they going to do something with Tyler Bate? Like, he's like goddamn 40 years old at this point.
Well, I think what they're doing right now is I think they're doing a switch where Ridge Holland's going back to NXT, and I think Tyler Bate's going to go to SmackDown, and that's where Pete Dunne's going to return from being Butch, and they're going to have a Mustache Mountain type ride in SmackDown as a tag team.
Man, I guess he's forgiven him from, 7 years earlier when he turned on him and Damien. I'm sure that's, in the back of his mind at all times. Tyler Bate,
Well, I feel like Tyler Bate is going to, go back and be like, hey, Pete, let me tell you something.
Do you think he just twirls his mustache whenever he talks to people?
Yeah. And he's going to be like, so remember back in the day when Trent had no other advice for you because you didn't have a stash and told you were going to be Butch?
Right.
You're going to be Butch again, Like, I just picture that being the conversation, like just twirling the fucking mustache the entire time. And then
that's how he powers himself.
Pete Dunne's like, can you quit fucking twirling your mustache? Like, or some shit like.
And then Pete twirls his top knot, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Break
those guys.
Fingers.
Well, speaking of finger breaking, we got the patriarch of that. We got Marty Scurll challenging for the Progress World title against the new champion, Pastor William Ever, or Bill Ever. I don't know if you caught that one. Exactly. Beaver cleavage. But Pastor William Ever's here. And for context, so the last chapter, so Pastor William Ever, he's a relative newcomer. He just won Progress's version of the Breakout Tournament, which they call the Natural Progression Series. And when you win that tournament, you get a title shot whenever you want. So it's like a Money in the Bank type of deal. Pastor William Ever cashed in at the last chapter after Marty and Tommy End had a match. Tommy End lays out Marty in the middle of the ring. Pastor comes in, cashes in his title shot, clothesline from heaven, becomes the new champion. I mean, he's been trained in-house. Progress has their training school, the Projo. I mean, he is just homegrown as homegrown gets. He's still very green, but the crowd loves him. They love Jesus, I guess. And he's now the world champion, which is wild. Taking on Marty Scurll. So he's getting his rematch here, so they can have a proper match, I guess, to see who's truly better because of the dubious means that Pastor won at the last chapter. And they kind of play off of that because, both guys come out. Marty comes out last. And then before the bell rings, before the ring introductions, umbrella shot to the ribs of Pastor. So you get your umbrella that you've been waiting for. Yes. But beats him up. Pearl Harbor job before the match. Hits his apron super kick that he always does. A suplex on the floor from Scurll. And so now he's kind of turned the tables because now Pastor is not ready to defend his title, whereas Marty is the more fresher of the two. So I like that bit of storytelling to it. Bell finally rings. Marty hits a power bomb with a deep stack for a 2 count. So we've set the scene here, and the match goes on. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by this match because, Pastor, like I said, Pastor is pretty green to the industry and haven't really seen him in this spotlight yet. But I thought he held his own against Marty Scurll. Marty's great, of course. I don't know. What'd you think of this main event?
It was pretty solid. I mean, I give this one the second best match of the night.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, with that being said, you could tell Pastor Evers is a little greener, but I mean, the way Marty carried the match too and helped him elevate himself, I think really brought out the stardom of what Pastor Evers has been on the UK scene. Yeah. When it came down to, I knew who Pastor Evers was before this match too. I was familiar with him. Marty Scurll, obviously we all know Party Marty partied too much.
Yeah.
Party his way out of professional wrestling. Woo, woo.
Unfortunately.
Woo, woo. That's where that woo woo chants came from.
Was it?
Yeah. Woo woo.
Oh, I thought you meant from his partying too much out of wrestling.
Both.
I don't think so. That was the
yeah. But yeah, so where was I saying? Oh yeah, so
Party Marty.
Marty
Marty Jannetty.
Yes, both Party
right?
Martys.
And
Marty and Marty
both party too much.
Yeah, so I want to get a shirt that has Marty Scurll and Marty Jannetty, and it just says Marty or Party Marty.
Let's get a tag team going. It's not too late.
Yeah, I think it's a little too late for Jannetty for sure. But whatever. But yeah, so perfect match. I love the beginning of it, like you said. I mean, it kind of gave that whole like Pastor Evers is, too good. He has to get blindsided. It kind of gave that vibe. Throughout the match, technically you'd have Marty Scurll doing his technical shit, breaking the fucking fingers. Man, I miss his chicken wing. I'll tell you that much. I do. But what really kind of irritated me with this match was the ending. There's two parts, right? So I'm watching in the earlier part of the match, and Pastor Evers does this run like he's about to do like a suicide dive. Mm-hmm. But instead, he drops to his knees and power slides to the ropes.
Well, he's Jesus, so he has to do his
yeah. And
I'm like, stance.
I'm thinking yeah, dude, pastors and being on your knees is never a good combo.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's not. But at this point, right? So I'm watching it, and then he does this little vaulting body press over the top rope, and I was like, okay, so you lost all momentum by doing your little power slide, and now that just looked ugly.
Well, he's Jesus, Matt. He can lift himself up. He floats. He walks on water, and then did the plunging.
That makes more sense.
You just got to think about it.
I need to get Pastor Evers on my show so I could, because you've seen the pictures of my wall former guests on my show, right?
Yeah.
So I should have right above my bed a cross and then a picture of Pastor Evers next to it.
Have a Bible with a little 8x10 right behind it, or inside it, maybe.
Yes, give me Pastor Evers on my show. I will get it all together and just have a little sanctuary area for Pastor Evers.
Light some candles. It's the whole thing. Praise him.
Have the hallelujah playing in the background.
Exactly.
It's gonna be people open my bedroom door and it's just a fucking mausoleum. You know what I'm saying?
bring a gal back. See what she says.
She's gonna be like, "Oh, no thanks."
Or maybe she's a big Pastor William Ever fan, and then you're in.
Oh, so, you know what? That's a good idea. That's a good.
Sometimes you gotta roll those dice.
Pastor Evers, we need you on my show.
I would love to listen because he's very new at this point, not in a position to just carry the world title for a long time. But it was a fun moment for him. Match itself, like I said, I enjoyed. We got some counters. We got the clothesline from heaven countered with a European uppercut,
which is a nice clothesline too.
Yeah, it's from heaven. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Chicken wing. Marty goes for a bunch of times. At one point, Pastor counters it into a victory roll for a really close 2 count. They spend a lot of this match brawling on the outside, getting thrown into all the chairs ringside. So you got that street fight kind of feel at some points, but ultimately it's Skrull's breaking out all the classic stuff, the finger break, the just kidding super kick to the knee. You got a bunch of roll-ups by Pastor. So it's very clear that Pastor is fighting from underneath because he's trying to get these cheeky wins out of nowhere. But ultimately, Pastor, he hits a just kidding clothesline from heaven. So he goes for a clothesline, says just kidding, and then hits it, which is a fun little tit for tat thing. Hits his cross power bomb, rolls him up, clothesline from heaven, but Marty gets knocked to the outside of the ring. And then we hear over the sound system, Mr. William Ever, and then out comes Sebastian, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with Sebastian at all.
No, I wasn't.
So my familiarity, that's not a word.
Familiarity?
Yes, that. I'm familiar with Sebastian purely because previous to this, he was kind of in a comedic tag team with Tom. I forget what his last name is. His name's Tom. They were called the Geezers. And like I said, they were a lighthearted tag team. They were, I believe both of them were Projo guys. So they were still newer to the scene as well. Haven't seen Sebastian in a while. I don't know if he's been on some of because they do these in-between shows called Endeavor, which is kind of their NXT of sorts. So I don't know if he's had character evolution on those shows that I've missed out on. But apparently he's a dickhead now. Comes out in slacks and a button up and a vest and very proper. And he comes out with a mic. He says, William Ever, I know what you did, and I'm going to tell the entire world what you did. And this distracts Jesus to the point where Marty Skrull can lock in the chicken wing and Pastor William Ever taps out. So Marty is now a 2-time Progress champion. I can't say I didn't see Marty winning. Like, that made sense to me. I didn't think it'd be this fashion. I guess maybe Sebastian, maybe they got plans to elevate him, and this is a way they're doing it. It felt very random to me.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if I've just missed something, but came out of nowhere. I don't know what happens up with this, but Marty's champion again, which all's well that, well, I guess it didn't end well for him, but yeah. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on that ending?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell you what, like, I'm cool with a cool, like, or a good ending where, like, somebody costs somebody the match. This was not one of them because there was no physical interaction. It was just him coming out, talking on the fucking microphone.
Right.
And then
I can see him being distracted makes sense though, because it's like, why is he out here? What does he know? Like, if Pastor did do something, which I'm not sure what this is, but what it's referring to, but maybe Pastor is really bothered by it.
I think the following week is where Sebastian, the guy that I just found out about when I watched the show, came out dressed as an altar boy and then explained the whole story.
You know, with things that Progress has done, you might be joking, but I'm not sure that's not what happens. So,
I mean, it's possible.
It's actually, I've convinced myself that is absolutely what's going to, because he has altar boy vibes. Sebastian does.
Yeah, the little haircut and everything. Yeah. No, 100%.
Wow, that makes sense.
I actually made a joke about this, and I wrote this down.
Oh, no.
I said, what was it? I said, Evers coming out here sliding on the knees was probably not the first time that he probably did that since, you know, priests and altar boys on their knees are together. You know? I don't know. Some stupid shit like that. I said it wrong while I was trying to say it right now, and I couldn't fix it.
You're lucky I don't have my soundboard ready. Otherwise, I would have given you a crickets. But yeah, that's what a cricket sounds like, I guess.
Yeah. Terrible
maybe
joke.
In Indiana.
I think that was probably better or worse than my Diesel Kevin Nash joke that I made last time.
I still smell the stench of that one.
I think we all do.
I think we all do.
I think that's why these shows are fun, is because there's always that breakout moment, but then there's always that, did he just say that stupid ass shit?
Yeah, so you go up and then you're down. And
it's a very entertaining process, and that's why I like coming out these shows, is because you never know what you can get. You just know you get a Hawaiian shirt from both of us.
It's like a shitty box of chocolate, I guess. It's like chocolate with mint in it. You know what I mean? That's what the show is. It's like, oh, this might be delicious. Oh, wait, it's absolute dog shit. You know
or chocolate with raspberry in it. I don't like that either.
I've never heard of that. I don't know if I support that. That sounds better than mint.
Or nuts. Chocolate with cherry in it. Like, I don't like.
I mean, chocolate. I like chocolate covered strawberries.
Yeah, those are cool. But like, I'm saying, like, you get those like box of candies, and they have like that chocolate with the like red shit in the middle of it, and you bite into it, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" Like,
yeah, it's not good. Not good.
I'd rather take dark chocolate. I'd rather take chocolate with mint.
Looks like a period shit when you bite into it. Yeah. I'm with you.
God, that's gross.
But speaking of that, we're going to put a period on this show because that was the end of chapter 33. Gross. Any other overall thoughts on the show in general, or any other nuggets you want to throw at me until I come?
Okay. So, I mean, for my first Progress experience, I mean, I've known, you know, wrestlers that have actually been in Progress. I know of Progress, but for my first all, you know, Progress show that I've ever watched in full without seeing clips, it was a fantastic way to start. You know, the only, you know, match that kind of fell a little short, but wasn't even that bad still, was the Mark Andrews, the El Ligero match. You know, it didn't give you that full cruiserweight-ish vibe, which is fine. I guess they wanted to tone down the pace. Because at that time, I don't think WWE really was doing a lot with the cruiserweights. Maybe they were. I don't know.
Well, the Cruiserweight Classic was just coming back, so they were still in the beginning stages.
Yeah, so I don't think WWE was really doing the cruiserweight-ish vibe until that show. So with William Regal being there, maybe that's why. I don't know. But all in all, fantastic card. Mark Andrews versus Mark Haskins. Back-to-back Marks. Mark Haskins and Will Ospreay put on match of the night. There was no question. From start to finish, that match was absolutely incredible. Shout out to Damian Dunn for being able to stay in the air as long as he did.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about Mark Andrews' balls.
Sorry about your balls, Mark. Hopefully they've recovered.
I'm sorry about Sebastian being an altar boy the next show.
I'll keep you abreast of the situation. Maybe that does end up what's happening, but I'll let you know.
Hey, maybe I know more progress than you do. You know, more than you think. You know,
you've already been more knowledgeable about these guys. And I'll say this to me, man. This show was probably one of their weaker shows, but it was still good. But I would definitely recommend watching some of the preceding shows because I mean, progress, especially in this era, man. I mean, there is such a bunch of good shit. I mean, lots of Haskins, lots of Ospreay. The Jimmy Havoc storyline from the previous year or two, like there's a lot of good stuff in progress.
Before his shit.
I mean, it's a never-ending conveyor belt of
progress and shit. No, we don't say that here. Progress.
Well, speaking of shit, you're a piece of shit. I don't know. Appreciate you.
Thank you
for taking the time to check out the show, coming on, talking about it. Where can everybody find you in a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends?
So you guys can find me at a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends. Just the abbreviation of that, 2020.
Right. It's very, very easy.
Yeah, very easy. Just like my mom, apparently.
There you go. Well, that's very unflattering to say about your mother.
Hey, you know what? All my friends tell me they fuck my mom on a regular.
I mean, it's true,
school.
But like,
right.
You don't have to say it.
Well, I'm just trying to say if anybody else wants to meet my mom, I got you.
Are you offering your mom up to everybody listening?
Yeah, she's cool with it. I mean, she's told me, she's like, whatever.
Sweet. I mean, hit her up, I guess.
Yeah, dude, hit my mom up. She's cool. But no, for real, like, you guys can find me at a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends. I've got 2 shows coming up soon here. Whenever this show gets posted, you guys can see them.
This will be out next week, so the 10th.
Okay, so you guys could start my show a couple days before this one. It's going to be with Uptown Andy Brown. You've seen him on the Indies. And then we have, in a couple weeks coming up, we have Rhett Titus coming on as well. Make sure you guys check those out. Give me a follow. And if you guys see this on my show, give the Apron Bump a follow.
Oh, please.
Kyle's the fucking best, man.
No,
but Kyle, it's been a
sorry. My inner thoughts just came out.
It's been fun, man. I always have a blast doing these. Always have me, I'm always able to come on, man. I enjoy doing this. It gets me to watch more shit than I probably have ever seen again. Throwbacks are always fun. Let me know when you do Bad Blood 2003.
I have bad news.
You did it already.
That was like my most recent episode.
Damn it.
Well, we can do Period Blood 2003, maybe.
That's okay. That works. Let me know when you do Taboo Tuesday, the first one.
Wait, which one? Is that 2004?
I don't know. It's when Shelton Benjamin beats Jericho for the title.
I think that's 2004. So that'll be so I'm like a year away. I'm about a year away in the timeline, so that'll be roughly 12 years until I get to that. So, but I'll keep you. I'll shoot you a message.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do a show before then. But
no, and we're probably both canceled by then. So, anyway,
Oh yeah, next show done. All right, well, hey man, Kyle, it was fun having you.
Fuck you. Whose show do you think you're on, bitch?
This is a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends.
I'm
your host, Matt Kozakowski. This is Kyle from the Apron Bro.
You're just gonna take this and post it on your own feed, like you piece of shit. You
Yes.
Siphoning all my audio.
Go check my new show. My dog's trying to hunt my leg right now. Don't do that shit.
Oh, man, I can't think of a better way to end the show, honestly, than your dog coming on your leg. Come on.
I'm so high right now. I'm be totally
right.
honest.
We're gonna hit the end record.
Once again, thank you to Matt for joining me on this lovely, lovely episode. Always a hoot having Matt on the pod. Go check out his podcast, the Pro Wrestling Podcast with Matt and friends. All of this info in the description below. Go check it out on YouTube. Check him out on X and Instagram and Omegle and Grindr and all that stuff. Do that. Follow me if you want. I don't blame you if you don't want to. I suck. But yeah, that's about all we got today. Appreciate you guys sticking around. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I love you all. I want to give you, if I could hop through this camera or through your phone or through your MP3 player and just give you a good hug on the face, I would love to do that. But until then, all I can do is shut up. Anyways, goodbye, I guess. I don't know. Still haven't figured out how to end episodes, if you can't tell. Take it easy. Hallelujah. Hail Satan. I'm hard.
Yeah.
And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.